Go
I
ahead,
think
Ina.
So I agree with a lot of what's been said in response to the video, but that one thing at the end where she talks about the heated blankets and stuff like that, and I hear it a lot in the manosphere about women too. I think a lot of people have just lost the value in the opposite sex and have just reduced them down to like things that are replaceable. You can't replace the essence of a man through objects. You can't replace the essence of a woman through objects. And I think when we no longer look at people's humanity, it's easy to say, yeah, I can live without it. I'm choosing to opt out. Sure, there's pee in the pool. We've heard that time and time again. Let's just go ahead and say that that's a fair statement. But even then, like sometimes you just have to do what you need to do to position yourself in a new pool. I think a lot of people aren't putting in the work to get themselves to a pool that doesn't have pee in it. And so instead of just understanding that there's other pools with no pee in it, they're saying, you know what, this pool has pee in it, so now all pools have pee in it. So I'm just never going to swim again. It sounds really ridiculous when you put it that way, but that's exactly what's happening with people.
That's what they
It's
talked about
just
at church last night. That was the
Yeah.
exact comment they were talking about church. They're like, oh, this church did me wrong, so I'm not going to do no more churches. Like, what?
Yeah.
First, you don't succeed. Try again. Go ahead. Mike, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Of course. This is my topic. I love these damn topics. No, but seriously, I think it's all an illusion. It's a smokescreen. Um, I've done a lot of listening. I know I haven't been doing any streaming lately, but I've been listening to a lot of people and just listening and trying to interpret what they mean. Because what I realized, everybody's really lying, and this culture accepts that. And the reason I say that, especially on the women's end, is because women don't open up. They don't ever talk about their L's. Everything can't be a win. Every statement is a power statement, right? So even if it's something we all know is a loss, you have to somehow salvage the situation by making a power statement. That's why I'm like, it don't really fit right there. So I just been listening, trying to understand what are people really saying, because we've allowed for so long, and it's now like a cultural norm for people just to not open up about what they're truly feeling, what they're truly thinking, and just make a power statement so you look good on the surface and you don't have to expose anything underneath. And for this single by choice, I've always said it's mostly out of fear. It's just out of fear. It's a power statement being made to keep women in control, to make it seem as though they wanted it this way. That is completely against human nature, and definitely against a woman's nature to be alone. Um, I'm always quoting Chris Rock when he said, suckers work, smart people get other people to work for them. That is the life of a woman. You can't tell me that even though you're single, you like paying your own bills and being responsible. I think women innately get all gooey, feeling inside when men do things for them, whether it's your father, your brother, your husband, your boyfriend. A major marker of your, I'm not going to say worth, but it gives you a great feeling when men extend themselves to do things for you, when you're covered, when you have a feeling of safety, whether even if it's in a romantic relationship or in your family. Women want that. In fact, you judge each other on that. Like, she don't got nowhere she can go to feel safe. I'm better than her. I watch what, like I said, I've been listening. So when women want to sling mud at each other, that's something that'll come up within 30 seconds. Well, I got a bunch of men that'll do blank for me and you don't. I've watched my sisters do it to each other, my aunts and my mom. They all will, somewhere in that conversation, when they start mudslinging, a woman's value, even in small part, is about what a man is willing to do for her, take care of her, so on and so forth. So I think it's all cap. It's an illusion. And what I'll end with is that it's a power statement because they're going to deal with men. I think somebody said that. They just want to deal with men on their terms. That's it. It's just a way to deal with men on their terms. So the dude's going to come by. He's going to knock your screws loose. eat the eggs and the bacon in your fridge, put on your apron and cook. But then you're gonna realize you've done it all the wrong way when your grandson see him or your son see him in the kitchen. He's like, "Mama, you're not
Yeah,
living right."
yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
that's wild. Yeah, I agree with
Exactly.
that.
So I think Marcus talked about old age, where this starts to unravel is when you're like, I did not set a good enough example to have anybody come replicate what I did. I'm not proud to say I did it the right way and I created other versions of myself that can do it the right way. I think when those things start to those feelings start to come to a person, then you'll realize like, oh, this is a smokescreen. This is BS. Right.
So I do know that there are women who don't have children, who don't have that, because more and more people are just growing to not want to have children, or just not having kids, right? But I kind of see that though, because for let's just say I can take myself for example. I don't mind putting my business out there. Sometimes I'm like, I like the comfort of having a guy, right? But I would be lying to say that sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like being bothered with anybody today. I like being able to be like, there's nobody to be bothered with. Can we see each other tomorrow or the day after tomorrow? I do like that there is a peace in that, knowing that there is flexibility in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I know that that's not the way it's supposed to be. So again, like you mentioned, and I also think it was mistaken mention, I think when people are saying single by choice, what they're meaning is I'm not married. I'm not living with somebody. I'm not in a full committed partnership as far as when it looks like that, right? I think that a lot of people are dating people or have somebody who they consistently talk to. But the responsibility part is the part that I think men and women at a certain age, they may be just like, it's just, I don't feel like dealing with the hassle of it all. And I think that that's true for both men and women.
Yeah. I think everything comes with a trade-off.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're about to see if my data is correct, we're about to have an economic collapse about 3 times the size of the Great Recession. I think at least 3 times. Because of the money that was inflated into the economy and all of that. The amount of default rates is going to be 3 times. That's why I say it's 3 times as bad, because it's projected to be 3 times as many defaults on homes. And that has, other implicating factors in the economy. So that's what I just saw that data. And in the mortgage bond market. And that is probably what's necessary to make all of those women who are saying single by choice. It really takes catastrophe for people to understand why you made certain choices, like I'm going to get married. I think the safety part for women comes in is you will probably understand you did the right things when you realize you're well insulated. If you're alone, that means that if you fall economically, you lose your job. Go here in Texas, Tesla laid off 2,700 yesterday. 2,700 six-figure salaries, probably, right? Major implications. They are firing DEI, which is all women. That's all women and rainbow people, right? So it's like these people that had the ability. That's really what it's about. The ability to claim single by choice. They're no longer going to have that ability. It was all a benefit of like comfort, right? Of the world that we created. You comfortable enough to say you're single by choice because you don't have any needs, right? So you have a way to pay for your water, pay for your housing, pay for food. But I think in the catastrophe that's about to happen, people are going to be singing a lot different tune, because I always say being single, or independent is synonymous with being alone. Who's going to cover you? Who else you got? It's just you. So I've always known that one catastrophe, one storm is going to wreck you. That's the way it works. It's going to wreck you. You have nobody to fall back on. So that's the sad part.
Sugar Mike, do you think it's the majority of value that men provide in a relationship is financial?
It's the least. It's
Oh, okay.
it's the lowest amount of value that we provide.
then if that's the case, then your argument, if that's the least that they provide, then that economic argument, would that not be, would that be invalid?
Well, what I don't mean it in the way, what I mean is that if we are determining our value to say, when I talk about this with, like, let's say my wife's friends, we know we don't have to cover it here. We know every statistic a child suffers from if their father's not in the house.
Oh, well, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying that's where my value is,
That's
right?
right.
So yeah, I'm saying my values, characteristics, work ethic, all of that, it is a part of my duty to keep a roof over everybody's head. But if I wasn't here, your mom could do it. She wouldn't be happy about providing for, women will naturally provide for their children, but an extension of that, meaning you providing for a man to start to have an attitude, then she's the only one providing for her parents because they're sick. No. Well, a man usually comes in and cover, like, kind of puts a blanket over the whole situation. So, and it's way more than financial, in my opinion.